Welcome back, everyone, to the Analyst Desk. I told you we'd be right back, and so here we are. Time for the picks and bans of Mad Lions versus Rogue. We'll get the champion select in just a second. Maybe a time to theorize, as said already. Trymbi, he does some wacky stuff. He's picked all kinds of crazy stuff, and he's picked almost a different champion every time. We have some Blitz, some Rakan, some Rell, some Seraphine, some Set. So I'm expecting some craziness from the bot lane at least.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you look at the trend of today and just the patch notes especially, Rell is the most broken support in the game right now. It was first pick before, the AP ratios got buffed across her whole kit. So this is looking like the strongest support in the game. So if that's open, I wouldn't be surprised the Rogue to either first rotate or first pick or anything like this.
And we haven't seen any enchanters yet. Actually, we saw Gragas, but I don't know if that qualifies.
He built a moonstone, you know?
He did. Are you thinking anything might happen in this game in terms of the predictions because of the changes on 11.3? What came through so far, and what would you like to see out of these two teams?
I mean, I feel like we did see the Gragas come in. Obviously, G2 picked both Renekton and Olaf, and that, they managed to get very far ahead with it. Charlotte a bit at the end doesn't really matter. It might take more time, obviously, for Gore Drinker and like meta stuff to phase out. But if Mad Lions are going to be like a flavor of the month type thing, they might take the patch notes really literal, and this might be a game where something like that ends up unfolding.
You talked before about Armut's champion pool specifically. We know that Rogue, of course, has an insane man in the top lane with Odoamne, but I'll talk to you about that in just a second because we're counting down, thinking
the countdown.
I'll have to stop talking in 7 seconds as we get to the picks and bans for Rogue versus Mad.
2, 1. Love it.
Yes, we made it. We're into the picks and bans. So let's pick up right where we left off, talking about the top lane perhaps, but maybe let me open the floor immediately to both of my analysts. LS, what are you thinking is coming out in a first rotation from any of these teams?
I mean, I'm curious to see if Rel's going to make it through the ban phase and if she'll be prioritized. Lilia just getting banned away by Rogue, that's another one that is definitely B1able. Seraphine on this patch, another really strong B1 champion. Gangplank might end up seeing high priority as well. These are the champions I'm hoping to see, but I'm not necessarily sure.
And I think with Nidalee being open, one of the strongest junglers, Kaiser's open. We talked about Rell as well. These are the 3 power picks that I think the team's looking at as well, especially when it comes to the patch itself. So let's see how Rogue want to trade it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rell first pick, which we did discuss.
Yeah, it was something that Trymbi actually was one of the first ones to pick Rell, and he did really good with it, and then it just absolutely took off. What makes Rell so strong right now?
I think it's just the buffs that she got in the AP ratios, the items she can build with that to reflect the AP ratios as well. And just the champ itself is so flexible, and especially paired with Kaiser, we've seen it before, you know, when Kaiser ults in, she can use the chain to get the stun, and she's just so oppressive in fights. She's one of the champions along with Leona who has so much zone control in fights. It basically mean that she can, when it comes to dragon fights especially, she can kind of control the whole river. Oh, that's sad.
Sorry.
So now looking at Kaiser, Nidalee and stuff like this, I think, and like LS said, the GP.
Let's see.
Well, Rell being banned away, and okay, it is going to be the B1 Kaiser. And now from here, I mean, Mad Lions, will they just end up doing the blanket response I mentioned earlier with Xayah, just basically out the gate? It is a little bit awkward to speculate where they might go with top and jungle given the patch changes. I mean, we did, as I said, we saw G2 pick Olaf and Renekton, but is Mad Lions going to go down the same exact route? Because Olaf's still open. There's the Xayah.
Yep, as said.
Yeah, and one of the powerful picks, especially, which people have been rocking, which I think LS doesn't like so much because it's sinning, is the Renekton Nidalee and things like this. And Mad Lions might rock something like that. It's something that both of these players enjoy, Elyoya and Armut. So what you can do here is just match the AD, pick the jungle at the top now, and then save the third pick for that other role if you want to make sure you hide it away or anything like this. But the Syndra's coming out from Mad Lions, which I think against Orianna, Azir, this is the trio of mid laners we've been seeing, barring the Corki, which you've seen a couple times. It's the Syndra, Azir, Orianna meta, essentially.
We're going to see how Rogue is going to end up responding here. We could have something like Echo eventually come in. Jarvan's being hovered, but no. Okay, Azir is going to be picked up by Rogue. And so they're going to handshake that. The Jarvan strikes me a little bit surprising, but not that bad at all. It's a Xayah, he can manage to lock her up. Also, Syndra really vulnerable to him as well in the later stages. And now it's going to be on Mad Lions to know that they're probably going to be answering a mid-rangey sort of engage comp.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think the Kindred is just a good pick into Jarvan as well, especially because, first of all, you can ult away the engage from the Jarvan, but second of all, you have a jump, so in the 1v1, you're always going to be safe. And I think that I'm just surprised that Rogue didn't go for Jarvan or Orianna, which is much more of a common combo for the wombo combo, especially when things like the Syndra don't have flash, but just shows how powerful Azir is right now. And although this Kindred pick is good into the Jarvan ult-in, it's not that great into the Azir, because obviously you can just knock them out of the ult and just use the ult for yourself. So top lane bans coming in here, and I think the matchup we were looking at, especially Odoamne, Armut, what kind of matchup are we going to see here? Are we going to see a carry matchup? Are we going to see tanks? Because there's a lot of scaling on both of these Mad Lions and Rogues carries here.
There is. We'll see what happens. Armut has been playing Renekton and Aatrox, one Wukong game and an Ornn game, and Wukong is was the champion that he really preferred to play back in the TCL, so we'll see what happens in terms of the support pool continuing to get pinched with the Rakan now out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see an Ornn or something. What do you think, LSGP, Ornn?
The Rumble ban as well as the Gnar makes me think that maybe he just wants to R4 Aatrox here and then look for World Ender resets with synergy with Kindred's Lamb's Respite. Right. But I'm not sure if that's really a super ideal angle, because then it gives way for B4 or B5 Gangplank to come in. And so that strikes me as odd. But no matter what, Mad Lions should pick a top laner on R4 because you need to reserve the support counter pick. And it seems like Rogue recognizes that the Rumble is alluding to an Aatrox, and they actually just ban it. So now Mad Lions, they could just choose Gangplank, and with the remaining top laners available, there's not really anything Rogue could pick to actually punish Gangplank that wouldn't undermine their current draft. But Mad's actually just going to go with Leona and still retain the counter pick for top.
Yeah, saving counter pick for top there. I think what we saw today, especially the GP counter that came out, was the XL game, was essentially a Cho'Gath now. I think that just makes it so you can go through the lane phase because of your passive, you scale really well into team fights, and it means that you can force objectives, which GP doesn't really like too much, although he can ult them away. In terms of split pushing, he can't really force your towers too much because you can heal up on your passive and just clear the wave. So I think both these teams are lacking a little bit of frontline, but as I say that, the Renekton's coming in for Odoamne, and I'm excited to see what they pick here for support.
I just see LS immediately twitching on the back.
He's sinning.
He's like, oh, there it is, Renekton.
Well, curious to see what their bot lane pick is actually going to be here.
Could be a Brown, perhaps?
They could actually go for something like Gragas.
Yeah.
Because obviously it has a lot of value against Kindred. Back in the day, last year, Gragas was actually perceived as a Kindred answer because you could just Gragas cast the ultimate and knock people out of it at a certain point. But now, with Renekton locked in, Gangplank's still a good champion, but it does get a little bit awkward with the way that the rest of the Mad Lions comp is. So I think just a normal tank is actually probably more ideal here for Mad Lions.
Yeah, I agree. They need some form of face check. They have 3 ranged carries here, no real bruisers to dive in with, so I think a tank is just more well-rounded. So Gragas top going to come here into the Renekton, which I think we've seen quite a lot with the Gragas, the Volibear, into the Renekton, these kind of champs, which don't necessarily win the lane, but as soon as you get some CDR, you can just keep trading onto him and being super, super annoying. But I really like Rogue's comp, especially for the sole reason that normally they're drafting like Lucian or all these early playmaking champs. Now they've drafted lots of scaling team fights, so there's not any walls or troubles they'll run into, I think.
It doesn't look like it. Mad seem to have drafted themselves a little bit into a corner at some point in the draft, but LS, what do you think about how it turned out in the end?
Oh, the Gragas comes in, I mean, I think not only just to neutralize the Renekton and go even against him in laning phase, but it does have that synergy with the Kindred for the exact same reason, except now Mad Lions get to use the benefit of it for themselves. Rogue do have a really strong late game, but there's no real interacting against Syndra in the later stages if Humanoid plays really well, so that's where Mad is going to have to look to their advantage.
All right, let's see what happens in this game. We're watching the next superstars of the LEC as Rogue and Mad Lions hit the rift.
Lovely.
And on to Summoners if we go. I'm Medic, I'm joined by Vedius, and we are going to get on to the action.
Before we start,
oh, okay.
Before we start, I just got to quickly test, see if my little Telstra thing works. So, Oh, it appears that it does, and we have a new tool. Excellent. Let's see how much fun we have with that one. Anyway, yes, we are of course here for Rogue versus Mads. I'm very excited for this game, Medic. I know you're excited as well.
I'm super excited for this game. One of the big things about these two teams that has really shone out to me since their standout split last year in 2020 summer was how they're kind of on opposite sides of the gameplay spectrum, Vedius. You have the Mad Lions who live up to their name. They love skirmishes, they love aggression, they love fighting. They are the madness of the LEC, kind of imitating G2 to some degree. And then you have Rogue, who are more of the slow, methodical gameplay. They understand what they're going to do. They've got it calculated 10 steps in advance, and if it doesn't fit their schedule, they're not going to take the fight.
True.
You have method versus madness, and I was thinking as we get on into this game, are Rogue going to descend into madness? Are they going to get drawn into the pit of the Mad Lions, and are they going to fight the Mad Lions at every opportunity? I want to know from you guys at home as well. Do you think Rogue will accept the madness today? Do you think we're going to have heavy skirmishes? If you do, vote madness. If you think Rogue are going to stick to their game plan and going to stick to the method they have adopted that have put them in first place so far this split, make sure you vote method in chat.
And so what's really interesting here is that Mad have recently actually been going for a little bit more of the scaling approach. But even when they do, I think we looked at a stat, Medic, 3 of their 4 games are still under 30 minutes.
Yeah,
so they
really
still
quick.
have these scaling comps, yet they're still playing fast, they're still playing bloody. So Mad, as Medic was saying, they really do love to get in your face. Whereas a lot of the conversation around Rogue has been around this like very difficult to execute comp, but they sort of play for excellence. That's how they've approached the first half of the split. And of course, having only lost 1 game, you understand why so many people have been singing their praises, because their execution has often been very flawless. So with this composition, as we heard from the analyst desk, there's a little bit of a easier barrier to entry when it comes to their execution. They need to sit back, relax. They do have those scaling options later into the game when you run things like an Azir and a Kaiser, of course. But we will see if they get drawn into the chaos that Mad Lions love to bring, or whether Mad Lions will be tempered. Perhaps they will be slowed down. And it seems right now that the fans at home seem to think that Rogue will be the ones controlling the pace of this game.
And I think an important thing about this question as well is we have yet to see Rogue play a team that really thrives in the madness to the degree that Mad Lions do. Tomorrow, Rogue play G2, another madness-heavy team. And so if Rogue can resist the temptations, resist the devil on their shoulder saying, come on, come to the dark side, in this game, perhaps it sets them up well for their top-of-the-table clash versus G2 tomorrow.
It certainly can do. And right now in this early game, nothing major is happening. There's been no madness. No one has succumbed to the chaos that is early skirmishing. And, you know, we kind of expect that. Perhaps if you're looking for an early gank, you'd be looking at this Jarvan already hovering around the top side of the map, potentially threatening a dive onto the Gragas as the wave is stacking up. But as we've seen multiple times before, Medic, it's very dangerous to dive a Gragas. So for now, he's just going to give a little bit of vision to Odoamne, make sure that he's safe, not getting ganked upon at all. And we're going to see just the continuation of this farm here in the early game.
I do think we might see a little bit of a skirmish down towards this bottom side Scuttle Crab, Vedius, because that is where the mark has spawned here for Elyoya. You can see he's working his way down towards it. Inspired is on the bottom side of the map as well, but actually looks like Inspired is just going to stick at his Krugs, which means Elyoya, because of this push that Mad have in the bottom lane, is going to be able to get the Scuttle Crab. Kaiser going in. Will be able to use the Aftershock just to keep himself that little bit more tanky. Inspired looking for the flank position as he comes down towards the bottom lane. Has that EQ flash combo, flash EQ. It's not the order that you usually hear it in, but Inspired does get the flash out of Carzzy.
Small advantage gain for Rogue in the early game. What looked like a promising trade already for Rogue in the 2 versus 2 ends up going even more in their favor as Inspired shows up to assist, but now Elyoya is on his way. Really good ward though coming out from Rogue to spot this lane gank coming out, and Mad basically just going to end up wasting their time.
Let's see what Elyoya is missing out on the map here. He's got his bottom side camps up. Razorbeak's about to spawn as well, and Inspired is working his way down here. Elyoya going to go up towards the river once again.
The thing is, he has to cover because of the flash of the Carzzy, but Inspired looking for the gank.
He'll use early. Inspired just walks in. There's the Zenith Blade on Trymbi. Knock back on Kaiser. Flash away from Trymbi now as Inspired looks for the EQ knockup but can't quite land it. Kaiser's low. So is Trymbi, but both teams will walk away wounded but alive.
So while this does definitely hurt Elyoya, it was a necessity for that exact reason. Due to his presence in the bot lane, they're able to deter the gank from Inspired, and they're even able to get his and Trymbi's flash out. So net positive gain for Mad. They're able to reset the wave, get the bounce back, and make things a little bit more awkward for Rogue as the lane phase continues.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, two beefy dudes are hitting each other. Tends to be what we see most of the time in the top lane these days. Odoamne is going to get forced away. Explosive cast was sliced and diced away from there, but Armut really just trying to distract the crocodile rather than kill him in that instance.
Well, he did have the item advantage, of course, and the health advantage, so if Odoamne was feeling himself, he may have gone flashing for
Kaiser flashes in immediately and knocked underneath the tower. He gave a lot of warning, and he's going to take 2 tower shots, and because of that, he will go down, and now Carzzy is in the wrong spot as he gets blocked by the minion. Odo slices and dices his way to his first kill of the game.
Wow, the Mad bot lane love to play aggressive, and last week when they played against SK's bot lane, they went for an all-in and it failed. This time we see that failure once again. They want to push this wave underneath the tower and look for the reset. The minions block Kaiser initially. He's able to land the E though, but this is why Alistar is so good into this matchup. Keeps the tower aggro on him though and hands the kill over to Hansama. And look at this minion block, right? He's just trapped in the 3 of them. There's nowhere for him to go. Rogue minions coming clutch there to allow Odoamne to get himself a kill, and 2-0 is how Rogue start.
Nice little sacrifice from Hansama as well to not auto-attack onto Carzzy, knowing that Odoamne had burnt his flash to get his teleport to get down there. So him getting that extra gold, getting that kill, puts him in a much better position in the 1v1 against Armut in the top lane. So we see a kill on Odo, we see a kill on Hansama, we see about 1,000 gold lead here for Rogue. There has been a little bit of madness here, Vedius. Rogue willing to take the fights that Mad are offering.
They certainly are, and I think that they're punishing Mad, you know, that is somewhat, it's the method in the madness, perhaps, you know? But what I really like is how Rogue have now adapted, because the bot lane needed to reset, and Odoamne invested his TP bot. So what did they do? They kept Odo bot.
Yep.
He's actually going to grab himself the Krugs. He's going to stick around as this wave comes to him. He thinks that, you know what, I'm probably not going to get dived. I'm level 7. I still have my ultimate. They have no summoner spells. Meanwhile, look at the top lane. Hansama and Trymbi are stacking up that wave. They're pushing it in, and here come the 2 members of Rogue looking for the dive. Maybe a Renekton plus Jarvan is difficult to dive, but with this, they can threaten it, or they can just go for the Rift Herald themselves.
And Mad Lions have 3 to 4 players in the mid lane. Armut's going to be able to clear out the wave underneath this top lane tower. See, Larssen worked his way back into mid to get mid prior himself. Inspired has started up the Rift Herald, but Mad Lions have all 5 of their players in the top quarter of the map right now. Humanoid will work his way back to mid, and it looks like Mad Lions are going to be able to get this Rift Herald.
And again, look at the mini-map, because you'll notice that Renekton pushing in the bot side, not only securing himself an entire wave, but also getting a tower plate. There is no TP on Armut. The bot lane lost so much CS rotating all the way from bot lane up to Rift Herald, up to top. Meanwhile, Hansama and Trymbi, they didn't miss anything at all. So really good wave assignments, really great use of pressure on the map, and Rogue are just, they're controlling the pace of the game, and it's their decision-making that is putting Mad at this deficit right now.
I guess the one good thing for Mad is, yes, they invested a lot of resources, but they made sure that Rogue couldn't get ahead and get the Rift Herald, and thus get more plates out of the deal. So we'll see how this Rift Herald is used by Elyoya.
3 plates.
3 plates for Odoamne, as you say, in the bottom lane. A 2,000 gold lead now for Rogue.
Now, one thing I do want to draw attention to is that there is this habit from Mad where they will rotate their bot lane up towards the top side. And what they'll do is they'll actually invest a huge amount of vision towards this middle lane. And the main reason for it is to allow Humanoid to play aggressive. Syndra into this Azir matchup, you want to be in your face, you want to be aggressive, but Humanoid actually is one of the best laners that we have in the league. Yep. Statistically, he is dominating more often than not, and it's because of the support that he actually gets from his team, the vision investment that comes from Kaiser, and the coverage that comes from Elyoya. 4 control wards all invested around the river, basically to say, all right, Humanoid, just put as much pressure onto Larssen as you can, get those first items faster, try to upgrade as quickly as possible, and you can already see he's got that Lost chapter completed, also has the tier, so he's starting to ramp up. So that's often why you'll see Humanoid sitting with these early leads in the laning phase.
Larssen, a very difficult player to keep under wraps, though. Like, he has shown us so often that he is able just to farm up, scale up. Humanoid trying to put some damage down. You can see Armut just down towards the bottom side of this fight. That ward he is standing on has been controlled, but Trymbi knows that he's in the area. And so Armut will just walk his way back towards the bottom lane.
So let's have a quick look at these summoner spells now, because a lot of them have come back off cooldown. The bot lane for Mad basically has everything up except for the flash on top of Kaiser. They're also going to get the Herald, so they're going to get a little bit more gold into their back pocket. Elyoya has his eyes on Hansama right now, but he does have all his suns.
Trymbi is here as well, so Elyoya isn't going to go for the dive. You can see the rest of Rogue working their way up. Trymbi gets the knock up. The Blast Cone will be used. And that was more just to distract the Mad Lions from getting any more plates here. We see that net gold that we talked about earlier when the Rift Herald was taken by Mad Lions. They lost CS. Even with the Rift Herald charging in and getting those plates, Mad are still about 1,400 gold behind as Larssen trades in the mid lane. There's the unleashed power from Humanoid, the knockback with the scatter of the week. But here comes Inspired. He bided his time and the Cataclysm comes down. Rogue by the first kill of the fight. Lamshot's bite not going to keep Elyoya alive for too much longer. Inspired with a second. Carzzy trying to open up with the Blade Caller, but won't be able to keep Trymbi at bay for too much longer. He's looking for a flank position. Rogue working their way down the river.
And another punish comes through from Mad. Rogue, rather, as they punish Mad's over-aggression. Humanoid, he tries to go for an all-in trade versus Larssen. He thinks that he has the backup, but it is actually Inspired moving through the top river. Humanoid ends up getting punished, losing his life, and that unfortunately baits the rest of Mad's team into a more difficult situation, which now balloons the gold lead to 3K.
And you can see, like, as you said, the investment put into Humanoid to try and make those outplays. He was trying to step up. He was trying to catch out Larssen himself, but Inspired, just in this pocket of vision, you can see the control ward keeping Inspired away from Humanoid's eyes.
But this is the thing. Rogue, they had cleared out that topside vision when they went up towards the top lane to help protect from the dive. But here, Humanoid believes that he has his team on his way and doesn't respect the fact that that top river is not as safe as he thinks it is. Ends up getting punished for it, and Rogue now 4 kills to 0.
And that top lane still stands. Rogue 6-1, top of the standings right now, continuing to show us just how strong they can be. Although they have played compositions that tend to scale up throughout the course of these games. Right now, showing us that they can get an early lead. And I do want to talk a little bit about the standings here, Vedius, because you can see just how close number 1 to number 5 are in our standings.
Yeah, they certainly are. It's only a 2-game difference, and that's why Mad win here would be huge, because they'd be sitting with the top of the pack. And after today's results, the top of the standings are very close right now. All of these wins as we enter the second half are becoming more and more important. And if Mad Lions lose, they are going to be sitting in that 6th place spot with both Fnatic and SK later on into the day. That could again separate them from the rest of the pack. So we're getting to the point where we're going to start using that hashtag every game counts, and all these best of ones are going to be really important in terms of that qualification for playoffs. And while teams do not need to finish at the very top at the end of the regular season, because playoffs is where things really start to get intense, qualifying for playoffs is something that you don't want to afford to miss, especially with how tense our standings are right now.
And although Rogue look very much on their way to playoffs, Mad Lions still teetering just on the brink of it. Last split, last season, they were 6-1 at this point, Vedius. They were right at the top. They had held first spot from week 2 to week 7, only losing it to Rogue right at the end. So I know they've made a couple of changes, bringing in Armut, bringing in Elyoya, but they are really starting to get to the point where they need to find their form again.
It's kind of crazy to think that both of these teams were just constantly in the fight for first last split.
Oh, that Zenith Blade means that the Scatter of the Week actually made the Zenith Blade miss there, flash away from the Solar Flame from Inspired.
We'll get the flash though, still net win for Mad after that small trade, but no towers yet to go down. So Mad still have a bit of fight left in them. Of course, the game is not completely over yet, even though they find themselves at a deficit. You can see that the item differential really starting to come through though, as the Jarvan will have the first major item completed alongside the Renekton. And Odoamne continuing to play weak side. He still does not know what his jungler's face looks like. In the meantime, all he sees is angry Armut slapping him in the face.
I haven't thought about the fact, like, not knowing what your jungler's face looks like. That's a good one.
The curse of the weak side top laner, my friends. You do not know what a jungler is, but Elyoya may make his presence known.
You know what the police look like, and Elyoya is going Nino as he comes down towards the bottom lane. Explosive cast knocks onto Odoamne, slice and dice, trying to get himself away. Elyoya does not have the flash. Inspired's on his way down here as well to save the day. The ambulance arrives, but the flash in from Odoamne trying to heal up with a gold drinker. TP coming in from Rogue, and now here comes Inspired. Elyoya the first to fall, and Larssen shows his face in the bottom lane and gets a kill.
Wow, Rogue still there for their weak side top laner though. Odoamne just bought so much time ready for the TP to come through from Larssen. Of course, no TP available for Humanoid means that there is no possible follow-up in Mad. I was looking at that play thinking that I think they're overcommitting a little bit too much here. They're trying too hard to make a play happen, and it ends in disaster once again. Every play Mad have made, it ends up being a 2-0 for Rogue, and we asked the question, method or madness? It feels like that right now, Mad are playing into the palm of Rogue.
Definitely are the method for Rogue, paying dividends, and we can see, Elyoya is trying to make something happen here for Mad Lions.
He certainly is, and I like the combo coming out from Armut, but Odoamne holding on to his slice and dice for as long as possible to buy as much time. And then look here, he actually re-engages to get as much value from his healing and Gore Drinker as possible. And then the rest of his team shows up. There's that slight bit of heal coming out of the back end as well, and then Larssen TP flank as well, just to add that extra bit of security. So the top tower down. The top tower went down in favor of Rogue. So did the bot tower, which means that they've now ballooned their goal lead to 5K 16 minutes in.
It's just absolutely massive, and we saw, you know, a few minutes ago, Larssen and Humanoid were basically even. Humanoid was even ahead in CS in the mid lane. Now, Larssen 2-0-2, 1,400 gold ahead of this Syndra on a very strong scaling champion in the Azir. You can see gold leads in the top lane as well. Odo 1,700 gold ahead. The AD carry position is a 2,000 gold lead for Hansama. It's just, it's 1,200, sorry, I did my math totally wrong. But it's just, it's huge.
But it's crazy how quickly Rogue were able to capitalize off of a single 2v2 all-in mistake in the bot lane, right? You think about the TP from Odo down towards the bot lane, the swap up towards the top, how they then use that top lane pressure to convert into the Herald, which then forced the bot lane to overextend, which gave Odoamne all these plates, and like, it all snowballed off of that single play, which Rogue were like, okay, we take advantage of this, and then we snowball. And again, huge credit to them as Rogue now actually lose this Herald.
Yeah, Odoamne a little bit mad that Elyoya just jumped in and hit it in the eye as Hansama dives into the bottom lane. Humanoid almost down the unleashed power. Not quite enough as Hansama! Killer Instinct into the flash, the shield, saving him just about. He'll try and clear the minions quicker than they can kill him.
I think he's dead.
Nah, he's fine. He's good.
No,
he's
he's going to try and execute. He's going to clear the wave.
He's going to clear the wave. Here we go. Go on, Vedi. You got it.
Nope. No. Didn't time it long enough. That will be a kill, question mark. Pings come out from someone on Rogue, I believe.
I guess it's a better argument than giving a kill and an assist. Like, it's better just to get the shutdown over to the Syndra than let the Xayah come across and get an assist on it, right?
He thought enough time had passed. I don't blame Hansama for that. You could argue that he didn't need to commit absolutely everything to getting that kill. But in any case, that will be the first kill of the game going over to Mad. We're going to get a cinematic of this.
Okay, he got caught out a little bit and then tries to trade back into Humanoid.
I mean, yes. Ooh, that damage was close though. And then Hansama was saying, I love the fact that he actually was able to flash up there. Notice that he waited because he thought that the tower was just going to kill him. And then
it's like a Planet Earth documentary. Yeah. The eagle stalks her prey as she comes around the corner.
Fortunately, no eagle found, no prey.
Yep, true.
So, 4K gold lead. Well, yeah, just about 4K.
Yeah, about that.
In favor of Rogue right now. The third Drake of the game going to be spawning in about 4 minutes time, so still a ways away from that. And Rogue don't really need to force anything for the time being. They can continue to farm, continue to scale away. As you can see, second items coming through for so many. Really interesting that Larssen actually prioritized that magic resistance. So I'm pretty sure this necklace builds into the Banshees.
Yeah.
And
he actually got that before he was anywhere near the Luden's Tempest. Yeah.
Yep. It's I think it's really smart because for anyone that doesn't play into Syndra very often, she will go Corrupting Pot and she will just spam spells in lane. She will just waste her entire mana bar into being aggressive, looking to trade, and that's also why it's great to have that vision investment as we see another engage in the river.
Yeah, Trymbi is the one who's jumped on, tries to get a knockback onto Kaiser. Carzzy on his way as well, and Trymbi's down before he can get out. Hansama going to be flashed on now. Remember, he doesn't really have too many summoners. Uses the cleanse, trying to get away from that extra tick of damage and just about survives. Mad Lions find one quick kill. And they're trying to find these picks, Vedius.
And Trymbi just gets punished for face checking there. The rest of Rogue were not in position to threaten anything else on the map. And Mad now looking to try and capitalize on this small mistake from Rogue. They have the Herald. They will finally break the mid tier 1, which is extremely valuable against an Azir. Of course, for the time being, he's going to pretend like that never happened. But in any case, yeah, opening up the map a little bit more, being able to get a little bit more deep vision, be able to set up and contest to these Drakes later on is definitely going to be valuable for Mad. But they are playing from the back foot. They are constantly behind in itemization right now, and the best that they can do is look for these picks, looks for people to be out of position. And like, you know, you look at it in the context that Hansama trade for Humanoid in the bot lane, it might not seem like a big deal, but giving that experience, giving that gold, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
Over to Mad, and they even got all the sums out now from Hansama. So if a stun does land, if they are able to catch him out, then he's going to die very quickly. So these small opportunities could result in bigger things later on into the game.
Well, we'll definitely see Mad Lions survive for at least a couple more fights. We've got the next dragon up in 2 minutes' time. It's an Infernal. Rogue have got the first 2 of the game, so they could just let Mad take 1 or 2 themselves. But of course, getting that Infernal Soul will be able to build you up towards all of that extra damage. Humanoid is the one in a side lane here, Vedius, and we don't usually see this.
Well,
usually,
from Rogue you do, though.
Yes, yeah. I was leading you there.
Yeah,
I was guiding you towards it.
I thought you were going to say we don't normally see this from Hansam, and I was like,
I was just going to be, we don't usually see the AD carrying a side lane.
It's true. It's very true, yes. But we do see it all the time from Rogue. It is their pièce de résistance, or as I like to call it, give all the money to the AD carry.
I didn't know you spoke French.
I'm fluent, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bonjour, ça va?
Ah, ça va, comment ça va?
Look, Kaiser gets lots of money.
Kaiser gets lots of... That was your French.
Oui. Anyway, Hansama, it's something that they often do. They leave Larssen in mid, and personally, it's how I prefer Azir to be played.
Okay.
Often you'll see many teams move Azir into a side lane, but I think that while he can play in a side lane because he has the dash, he has decent wave clear, I think that he has so much more control in mid. And then if you put the Kaiser off into a side lane and you just play with good vision, she should never really be in any danger, and she gets funneled even more resources because she gets to sit in a solo lane, and already she has a level advantage over Carzzy. Of course, the support does suffer as a result of this. Trymbi only level 8. But it's overall much more beneficial for Rogue because then the 3 major carries of Odoamne, Larssen, and Hansam are all getting funneled all of this gold.
And who else would you want to have in the mid lane than a Larssen on this team, sitting statistically right at the top of all mid laners, having a stellar split? In my opinion, probably in the contention for mid-split MVP. First in KDA, first in CSD, first in gold difference of 15. And we saw, even though he was even with Humanoid in the mid, sort of early mid-game this match, all it took was a couple of kills for him to really start snowballing the game in his favor.
I mean, he had a very intense best of 5 against Caps last year, and I'm excited to see him match up against him tomorrow. He said in the Match of the Week video that he wants to be the one to usurp, or at the very least challenge Caps, and I think that many eyes are on him to be able to do it. And this is the meta for him. These are the champions that he is very well known for, as Rogue will now start off the Baron. For now, Rogue have control over mid, but the rest of the team are on their way. Hang on, this is the Drake being done by Mad.
This is one of those things where I think Rogue had the option to say, okay, we'll go to the Baron, and if all of Mad invest at Dragon, perhaps we can get it before they come across.
Sure.
They weren't quite able to do it there. Mad wise to the play, and of course, Kindred very good at soloing out dragons, especially when she gets up towards this level 12 or so. You can see Rogue now trying to push forward.
Look at these waves, though. Top wave is pushing in. That's not the one that I wanted. Top wave pushing in, bot wave pushing in. These waves have to be answered, and this is an opportunity for Rogue to use their numbers advantage around mid. Force Mad to go and catch these waves or lose farm, and if they don't, then, you know, they're just going to wait for the next waves to come around, and they're going to keep this pressure up. Drop their vision, look to reset, replenish on wards, and then start the Baron dance once again.
That's exactly what we are seeing Rogue doing. They'll go back, they'll grab themselves a few control wards. Would like to see Larssen perhaps get one instead of that corrupting potion in his inventory, but of course, the little bit of extra health and mana can help you out just a tad. I say as a support that has had junglers with 2 vision score in some of my recent solo queue games, buy more control wards, guys. They definitely help out your support quite a lot, as Odoamne keeps this pressure in the bottom lane. Actually, it looks like Inspired is working his way down here as well. Maybe looking for just Armut to overstep, assuming that Rogue would be on the other side of the map. But this ward here from Armut will spot Hansama and Trymbi getting the blue buff, and so Armut can just be that little bit safer.
It's quite interesting that Mad are actually investing the players towards the bot side of the map right now. They do have a couple of wards lit up towards the top side. They're looking for the engage, as you said.
Zenith played on Trymbi. Odoamne's popped the dominance down towards the bottom side. It's a 4v5 right now. Larssen still in base. TP available for him as he tries to get in behind them. Odoamne goes in with a gold drink at their slam stress plate. Watch the bird slide into the back line. Immediately takes down one. Kaiser trying to get away. Larssen still alive. Carzzy doing what he can, but he only gets 1 kill. And now it's Armut versus Trymbi and Odoamne down towards the bottom side. Carzzy's going to get chased off towards the top side. And Rogue, they set up the trap, they baited it, they put a nice bit of cheese in there, and the mice that were mad walked straight in with waiting arms as Rogue will clean up the fight.
That is a 4-for-1 fight in favor of Rogue, and they will walk away looking to secure the Baron. Extremely well executed, and as you rightly said, Mad were sort of trapped in between 2 members of Rogue, and they had very little that they could do about it. Carzzy, looking to try and get a steal. Elyoya is back alive, but I think that this would be a miracle if he was able to get away with this. All he has is the Q and the E.
Here we go. Q, E, not quite enough. Inspired secures the dragon, the Baron, sorry, and with it, Rogue have a 9,000 gold lead.
So let's have a look back at this fight. And what they're waiting for, Rogue, I should say, is Azir to go back to base and TP in. I'm surprised that Mad committed so hard for this fight, especially with the Gragas still not quite there yet, because at this point they're collapsing onto Odoamne. That's exactly what Odoamne wants. He can act as the front line to allow time for his back line to join the fight. Look at this engage from Larssen. Immediately, the flash from Humanoid, the ult from Carzzy, and with all these summoner spells gone, now Inspired and Trymbi see their opportunity to really get the fight underway. Props to Carzzy for being able to get that kill onto Larssen, but unfortunately, it is too little too late, and the whole team fight just comes together beautifully. Extremely well executed from the side of Rogue.
Armut has explosive cast here. Look and see if he can catch out Odoamne. Can't with the barrel, but here come the TPs in from Mad Lions. Explosive cast goes wide, Inspired on his way, and now Rogue once again. Mad Lions trying to overstep, Trymbi going in, the knockback with the scatter of the weak, that's Inspired, dives in with the Cataclysm on the back line already, that's 2 quick kills for Rogue. Mad Lions retreating once again, the pack has been split up, there is no pride for them as Rogue continue to slice and dice their way to victory. 3 kills in the fight as Armut, well, you should fall, he might be able to get away for a moment. Uses another barrel just to slow down Odoamne, but Odoamne slice into the dice, into another bop to the side. Armut just, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Rogue, you're so close, Odo. Come on. Come on, you got it.
You can do this, Odo.
Oh, flank from Trymbi. Supports,
Oh,
do it all.
yeah.
Here goes Trymbi, but he didn't get there.
Odoamne also went into the wall. They're chasing Armut still.
Here we go. Here we go. Armut.
Still wait.
He gets out. He gets out from this.
No. Is he going to execute? That's the question.
He gets out.
He actually executes. Props to Armut. He's able to outstyle Odoamne. He will get the experience, but no kill will go down. A moral victory on the side of Mad as they lose their first inhibitor and another tower to boot. Beautiful play overall. Now Hansama. Ooh! Assassin Kaiser coming through. Is able to one-shot the mid laner for Mad Lions. 1-5-1 is the scoreline of Humanoid, and he's not had a great time in these fights with the amount of dive that has come on top of him. There has been very little that he can do to escape. Yeah,
we asked at the start of the game, would Rogue fall into madness? Well, they have stuck to their methods well and true here, Vedius. The last few plays have been a bit skirmish heavy, but that's exactly how Rogue wanted to play them. Baron buff minions still available for 20 seconds. 2 waves of supers about to be pushing in. Mad Lions, 4 members strong, will be able to force Rogue back for the moment.
For now, they're going to take their time. They feel they don't need to rush. They're going to get themselves the Infernal. The Baron is likely to come out soon. Here we go.
Is this anything Larssen could do, Humanoid can do better, but it's actually Armut TPing in. I thought it was Humanoid. Looking for the flank here on the Azir as Larssen tries to get his way away. No flash. Emperor's Divide. He gets out. Gets to Odoamne. Kaiser forced back over the wall by, I believe that's 8 soldiers. Hansama once again, the assassin, marksman, DPS carry. That is Kaiser. Overtuned or not, you love to see it as Hansama dives and kills Humanoid. Now Odoamne just going to force the rest of Mad Lions away on his lonesome. Super minions pushing in the bottom lane. Those are about 15 seconds away from the Nexus towers as Carzzy almost goes down. The Rylai's helping Larssen get those few extra auto attacks out from the soldiers. And here come the minions in the bottom lane. Looks like it's actually not quite a super minion wave from the bottom mid lane, though there is a super. And here on the Nexus towers are Rogue. Featherstorm coming out from Carzzy as he tries to defend. Solo player used as well on Odoamne, but they just don't have the damage. They just don't have the cash to buy the items to get the kills against Rogue. Lamb's Respite will save Carzzy underneath the Nexus towers, but immediately when he pops out, he goes pop. Only Armut left alive in the Nexus in the sights of Rogue. 7-1 and in sole control of the top of the table.
From start to finish, it was Rogue's game. They punished every single play that Mad tried to make, and they never really let go. Nothing but cleanliness from the side of Rogue, and another impressive game. They had a shaky week last week, and there were question marks around some of their drafts, some of their executions, but we got to hear in an interview from Larssen where he said they wanted to try and play these more aggressive comps. They wanted to try and do something different because they were confident in the current meta style of team fighting, scaling, and I think we got a taster of what they're comfortable on.
Yeah.
This is the meta that they like to play, and they are pretty damn good at it.
Oh, they definitely are. We heard in the Match of the Week video as well that Rogue last year, they had one style really, and they were very good at that style. So hope to see them continue to adapt, continue to try out new things on the stage as we get towards some of those bigger games. You know, it's Rogue G2 tomorrow, which is a battle for top spot, with G2 winning earlier today. You guys can vote for your Kia player of the game at LEC on Twitter. Inspired, Larssen, and Hans Summer are your options. All three of them great options. Once again, no supports though. Just saying.
Yeah, because the carries do all the work.
Trymbi's
The
flanks.
carries
He took the
do
ganks.
all
He
the
was
work.
a tank.
Supports are more like moving wards. You know? That's
Oh,
kind of
TSM
their
players. That makes
focus.
sense.
Wow, okay. You had to do them. That's just... We're closing out the day with Fnatic versus SK Gaming. A matchup between two teams neck and neck in the standings. Don't go anywhere.
TSM.
Stop. Stop it. Stop.
They are out there, waiting to be discovered. Some of them are big, and some of them are small. But that's the thing with ideas. They don't just come to you. To find them, you have to move. Kia, movement that inspires.
Welcome back to the LEC as Rogue defeats Mad Lions with an absolute dominant performance. And Inspired, I have so many questions about the game, but first one, how was this game for you? Did it feel as easy as it was for us as viewers?
Yeah, it felt pretty easy because I didn't feel like opponents did many plays. They were just playing very safe and waiting for us to do something. And then at 8 minutes, they like rotated 5 people to Herald, and we just knew that if we just keep farming, we will be way stronger because they gave up a lot of resources there. And then we just played slow, collect the drakes, and just wait for a good engage for us.
Interesting. Okay, I want to challenge your opinion on something, because when you look at the early game, it looks like Mad Lions tried a lot of stuff, actually. They weren't very successful at doing so. Can you identify maybe some crucial mistakes from Mad Lions that gave you the edge in the end, in the early game?
I think they would have to play more aggressive with their jungle matchup. I feel like Kindred Syndra is way stronger than Jarvan and Azir in the early game, so they can look to like invade us somewhere or force the fights around mid, but they didn't do any of those, so it was pretty comfortable for us to just farm and play the game later when our champs are becoming stronger.
All right, well, just waiting for your time then. But you mentioned the Kindred with Elyoya, which is interesting because he brought this new pick into the jungle. And we patched this week. I know that this patch brought a lot of changes, especially in the jungle with the Talia, the Pantheon, the Olaf with the Goddrinker, dropping in pick rate, actually. So what do you think of the landscape of the jungle right now?
I still think the champs like Olaf and Talia are not unplayable. I think you can still play them, but now they are actually balanced, not like before when they were really OP. They were farming too fast, dealing too much damage, healing so much. Now you can play them, but they actually have a counterplay. And I don't really think that Kindred is a playable champ. I think Kindred is pretty bad currently, and that's why no one really plays her. And I was pretty surprised when they picked it, but I think they just wanted to pick AD jungle, and they didn't really have many options, so they went for Kindred.
Interesting. We'll see what the desk thinks about these Kindred picks later. But okay, I have one last question for you about the match of the week, obviously, because you'll be playing G2 tomorrow. We just saw them play earlier against Misfits. I just want to have your take on G2 this year overall, and how strong do they look according to you?
I mean, even if they don't look strong, I think G2 is always a strong team. Even if they have like some sloppy games, you know that they will perform when the game will actually matter. So I think they're still a very, very good team, even though I guess they got two lost games. I think they lost 2 games. So yeah, I think they're a very, very stable team, and it's always like hard to play against them because they're pretty aggressive, but they also make calculated plays. So it will be a fun game against them, but I think if we'll play as well as we are doing so far, we can beat them.
I trust you on that, and it will be a fun game for sure. Inspired, thank you so much for the interview, and good luck for the match of the week tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, and back to you, Sjokz.
Thank you very much, Laure. Inspired, of course. Proud of that performance of the team, and Rogue take down the Mad Lions. They are still in sole possession of first place, but there was a lot to talk about here. We talked about the picks and the bans as they came out, but now I want to look at how the teams eventually executed it in game. So let's maybe tell me first the side of the Mad Lions. How did you think that they applied their draft once they got onto the Rift?
I think that, like what Inspired said, I thought it was a little bit weird the way that they played the jungle matchup early on, but the thing that struck me most bizarre was that after stuff started not working out early, they opted into early handshakes even though they had total vision and intel on what was going on, and then they handshook even further into basically a ditch by going for the rotated Rift Herald play, constantly just forcing things that didn't need to be forced. And when you fall behind early, and it's counterintuitive because you're trying to actually scale up, you have an explosive mid game and whatnot, then you just have no leg to stand on against these champions that are supposed to be ahead of you early, and the gap's just too big to come back from.
Yeah, and I think like Ella said, Inspired said it so well. The thing is, with Olaf and Pantheon being taken out of the meta in a sense now, or, well, Olaf being weaker, Pantheon being taken out, there's a really big lack of AD junglers, especially when you're playing double AP solo laners. So Mad Lions kind of drafted themselves into a hole here where they had to go for something like the Kindred because Graves was banned out, and the other AD junglers you're looking at are like Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, and Jarvan's already picked away. So they kind of were forced into this Kindred pick, which I don't think is actually that good in the meta right now.
Yeah, it looked like that. And then when we got into the game, as you touched on already, the fact that it seemed that Mad Lions were over-forcing a little bit and really tried to make things happen where they didn't necessarily have to, Caedrel.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of clips to show what's basically happening. And just for some context before we roll the first B-roll, I think that the key thing to note here is Inspired came down to gank Carzzy, and he used his flash, got Carzzy's flash. So follow along with me here. Carzzy has no flash, Trymbi has flash. The problem is when the 3v3 came, when they saw Elyoya hovering around the bot side bush, Trymbi actually tried to make the flash engage happen, but he queued the floor and he pulverized the ground. So the play was called off. And then the first clip we've got here is later on when Kaiser tries to punish that lack of flash on Trymbi. He actually misplays this. I think Kaiser wants to E-flash on the Trymbi here, but he flashes, gets minion blocked, and it's delayed. So Trymbi has enough time to react. Kaiser dies, and Odoamne TPs in as well. And because Carzzy gets minion blocked and has no flash here as well, this kind of snowballs the whole game into Odoamne gets the kill. Rogue just stay there and they think, well, we'll base with our bot lane, Herald's in 1 minute, Odoamne stay down in bot side, you keep pushing, you keep getting waves and denying waves to Mad Lions, and we'll be 1 minute ahead of Mad Lions when the Herald spawns.
And speaking about the Herald spawn, I actually felt like this was kind of a blunder by Rogue, and I say that because their bot lane's in an okay position. Renekton can just go back up into top lane, but then the really weird thing here is that Mad Lions doesn't recognize that it's a blunder, and they miss a punish. They actually handshake the rotation over into Rift Herald, and I feel like at this point we're not losing a shopkeeper anymore, we're losing a calculator, because what ends up happening is Renekton gets 2 minion waves for free, which is almost more than a kill's worth of gold when you also factor in the EXP, and then he's going to get turret plates as well. So when you open up a calculator and you see what the Rift Herald gives in terms of gold and EXP, you're losing out on the rotation, you're forcing an acceleration of the map, which is counterproductive to your team composition, and then the opponent is actually permanently ahead of you in tempo, and you drop the ball to get the dragon.
Yeah,
Makes no sense whatsoever.
That's the key point. Odoamne was getting so many so many plates, so many free waves up on Armut, who tried to group for the Herald, which Rogue swapped before, so Mad Lions tried to answer their play. And we've got a couple more clips to just show the desperation coming out from Mad Lions. You saw them try to engage on mid, as we've got a clip here, to try and actually catch out Larssen with the burst potential that they had. And the thing is, the problem with this whole play is Humanoid goes for the engage, but Inspired's already behind him, which Mad Lions in spot. Elyoya flashes in with the ultimate to try and save him. So Mad Lions trying to look for plays, but I just feel like they're falling apart on every play that they made. So although Rogue haven't actually made their own play this game, they just keep getting the kills that Mad Lions are throwing at them. You see here again, Mad making the third play of the game, which doesn't turn in their favor. They get double killed here again from the teleport coming in later on in the fight, and Inspired coming down. So I felt like this whole game, the only real play Rogue did proactively was swapping to top. And the only thing that Mad Lions did was just 3 or 4 plays, which never worked and gave Rogue 6 kills and just a huge gold lead.
Yeah, I'm sorry we don't have that much time anymore, but if I summarize it, it's a lot about making the wrong decisions and kind of continuously pushing where not. And we did want to call this out just because it was quite some blunders from the Mad Lions, but I think we also need to do our due diligence and to say, well, there are maybe other teams that will go into that madness, right? That would catch that throw and maybe fight back and not be as good with it as Rogue LS. So we do have to give some praise to Rogue for just staying calm and playing their game the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, it totally just reminded me of what I mentioned earlier on about Damwon, where sometimes teams just blunder into them and they just keep smacking you left and right, even if it wasn't what the comp was designed to do. Rogue should have been the ones making aggressive plays and actually making things happen in the early stages, and yet Mad were just all too excited to just tilt right into them.
Yeah, I just think that Rogue just played super well around Mad Lions going into them. They did have to make proactive plays, but they just let Mad Lions kind of make the plays. They were sitting there like, okay, we'll respond to every single play and get gold leads.
Let's go. Let's see who the key player of the game was. It is Hans Sama with 59% of the votes. He keeps snagging them away from Rogue, but everyone's really performing well on that team. Do you agree, LS, or did someone else deserve it?
No, I think this is totally fine. The bot lane, obviously, I mean, you can reference, obviously, the teleport at the very top, coming into bottom lane, and then making the decision. Well, we don't know, I guess, who entirely makes the decision, stays down back in bot lane and whatnot. And that's really a key deciding factor, because from there, Mad Lions felt like they were always just playing catch up.
And credit to Rogue, you know, they got the lead, they snowballed the game, although the lead was quite big. They snowballed to the game to the point where they could just flex individually. You saw Handsome just hit Ws, dive Humanoid in between 2 towers, dive him again, throwing his ults out with the Halo Blades and just one-shotting everyone. So credit to Rogue, where credit is due. Although they didn't make the plays themselves, they let Mad Lions make the plays, capitalized on mistakes and snowballed the game well.
And to maybe button up what we talked about before the game, being that these two rosters that were so hyped and had so many young players last year made it all the way to Worlds. We saw 2 different approaches on the side of Rogue, deciding to put a young player into that support role, even though they had a very, very capable support in Vander. And the changes on Mad Lions maybe not panning out as well so far. They are in different leagues right now.
I would say in different leagues, especially if you look at last year where they're contesting each other non-stop, fighting for the top spot, first and second place. I think Rogue have just taken it to the next level, whereas Mad Lions have faltered to find their footing, I think.
All right, we're moving on, but we've got more League of Legends coming up as Fnatic and SK Gaming close out the day in Game 5. Don't miss it.